Hello, my amazing kings and queens. King Moreland here. And before we get into our intro, I just want to say Merry Christmas. Yeah, we got a Christmas Day drop. It's amazing. All right, let's roll the intro. Hello, my amazing kings and queens. King Moreland here. And as you know, I'm on a mission to help you unlock your full potential and become the absolute best versions of yourself. Whether you're facing challenges, chasing dreams, or just looking to level up in life, you've come to the right place. Every week, we dive deep into strategies, mindset shifts, and practical tools that will help you transform your life from the inside out. This is your channel, your personal development channel, so that you can become the powerhouses you were meant to be in the world. A channel where mediocrity is not an option and excellence is our standard. So, if you're ready to join a community of passionate individuals committed to growth, such as yourself, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and without any further ado, let's continue on this journey together. So, if you guys are familiar with my content, you know that after we have the Deca drop, we get into what is known as the Break the Matrix series. In this series, I help you guys essentially break out of the webs that the system kind of throws us into. It's like a spider. It throws us in deep into these different webs that many of us get devoured by the spider in. But some of us are able to cut through the webs and break out. I broke out myself, and I want to help you all do the same. So, welcome to Break the Matrix, Part 2, Episode 1. Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy holidays. Today, we begin breaking the matrix again. Part 2. Now, I'm going to start this by saying something crazy. When you deposit money into your bank account, your bank is not holding that money. They're using it. Every time you get paid, every time you deposit your check, you're letting a $1 billion institution make money off of your money while giving you pennies in return and a low interest rate. They use the money that you've deposited to profit. And here's the wild part. It's completely legal. And today I'm going to show you how banks really make money, why I call it a legal scam, and how to stop becoming a victim because you're the one that's funding their profits. And this is called fractional reserve banking. More on that later. Welcome to Break the Matrix, Part 2. Episode 1. How banks are really using your money. So let's start from the very beginning. When we were kids, they told us a simple story. Put your money in the bank. It's safe. It's the safest place you could possibly put your money. Safer than a shoebox, safer than your mattress, safer than your couch. Put it in the bank, right? Sound good at the time, sound responsible. But that story is an incomplete story. Let me break this down for y'all. Banks are not shoeboxes. They are businesses, and you ought to treat them that way. They don't get rich by holding money. They get rich by moving money. Your deposit isn't just sitting there with your name on it, waiting for you to come back and get it. No. As soon as you deposit money, they're putting it to work. Because you have to understand that each and every dollar that we deposit into the bank, that is a liability for them. Why? Because they have to give it back to us when we go back to the bank to withdraw money. So, because they know that, they are using your money to give other people loans, give other people credit cards, and they're using your money to make profit. So here's how that works. Here's how the banks multiply your money for themselves. There's a term that you've probably never heard of because they don't teach this in school. It's called fractional reserve banking. Fractional reserve banking is a system where the bank keeps only a fraction of the customer's deposits as cash reserves, i.e., about 10%. And then they'll lend out the rest, allowing them to create new money and expand credit, stimulating the economy, but also running a risk of bank runs, which is when too many people withdraw funds at once. This is what happened during the Great Depression. But we'll learn about that another time. The rate that they must keep on hand is at 10%. That's managed by central banks and is required for deposit insurance, just in case you do come back and need to withdraw some cash. They really hope that everybody doesn't come back and withdraw cash all at the same time, because they might not have it. Why? Because they've already used the cash that you've given them to deploy as assets and give it to someone else, in which they pay them back in interest and principle. But we'll dive into that. So here's what it really means. Let's give you all an example. Let's say, for instance, you deposit $100. The bank will keep a small portion of that. Like I said, it's about 10%, right? So they'll keep $10 of that on hand. And then they'll lend out the other $90 to someone like an investor, right? They give it to the investor in a loan. The investor then pays back the principal plus interest, and the money that they're paying back is what is used to pay you when you do come to the bank for a withdrawal. You see how they are able to profit with the money that you gave them, because they're not just getting back the money that you lent them. They're getting interest, right? So now multiple people think that they'll have money in this situation, aka the investor, but the bank is who really wins in this transaction, right? So that's how money is created in the system that we call our economy, right? The banks use the money that you deposit in order to profit, and they profit a lot more from your money than you do. So, is this illegal? No, it's not. It is a powerful tool that the banks use. But here's the key to it, right? The bank is taking the risk because they're using your money essentially as an investment. And because they're using it as an investment, they also get to take the profit, right? And then you take the crumbs, because they'll give you a small percentage of income for depositing your money, and that's called your interest rate, right? But here's the thing. Let's break down the numbers, because numbers don't lie. Right now, the average savings account in the US pays between 0.4 to 0.6% interest, right? While average credit cards charge 21 to 29.99% as of December 25th, 2025, right? So think about that, right? You just think about it for a second. You let them use your money, and then they pay you less than 1% while it's in the bank. And then they will lend out that money, and they'll be charging people over 20%. And guess what? They profit the difference. The difference in that, what is called the spread, is what keeps the bank running. That's actually the biggest wealth engine for the bank right there. They do it like this: cheap money in, expensive money out. That's the game. And most people don't even know that they're playing it, that they're part of the system. Some people have their entire life savings in a savings account, which isn't smart, because all of that money is gaining minimal interest, and the bank is literally using that money to profit and make like 10 times as much money as you're making from it, right? But let's dive a little deeper. Here's another way that the banks tend to scam us: the fees. It's the quiet tax that nobody really talks about. But let's talk about it today. When it comes to overdraft fees, banks have made billions from it. Billions. And you know what? You know who pays the most fees? It's the people that's living check to check, right? That's why I told you guys in the other Break the Metric series that lifestyle inflation is something you have to get a hold of so you don't live check to check. You have to always make sure you pay yourself. And by paying yourself, I mean that you save at least 10% of your income. Don't pay everyone else. Make sure you keep some money for you, right? Here's another group of people that they tend to prey on: the people who are behind on bills. Even if it's one day, if your bank account overdrafts, that $35 fee is coming if you don't get back in the positive. So it's very, very important that you ensure that there's always some money in your bank account, right? And the last group of people that they take advantage of is the people who are constantly under pressure. So unfortunately, a $5 mistake tends to turn into a $35 punishment. And those fees will stack up. Over time, those fees stack up. And next thing you know, you've had a overdraft fee every month, and man, that's hundreds of dollars going to waste, going to a bank that has more money than you. So why would you pay them fees, right? So even though it's a legal part of the system, it's something that they use to profit off of our inability to keep a buffer, right? And by buffer, I mean like building a financial buffer in your bank account. Let's say, for instance, you have $500 to your name. You have to treat $200 as if it's zero, meaning you don't ever go under that $200 limit. The reason I say that is because if you're able to treat $200 as your zero, then you won't get overdraft fees. You'll keep yourself from being completely against the wall. So you have to make sure you don't ever go below that amount, right? So moving forward, please don't get overdraft fees. It's like throwing money in the trash and just giving it to banks for no reason, because that doesn't benefit you at all, right? So here's the next step, right? Inflation. Inflation is a part of the system that you don't even know is like scamming you. It's like a quiet tax, so to speak, right? So here's the sneakiest part. Even if you never overdraft, if you never increase in income, you're still losing. And here's why. Inflation. If your savings grows at, let's just use our example from earlier, 0.6%, but the prices around you all goes up about 3% because, let's be honest, inflation is worse than 3%, but just on average, we'll just use 3%. Essentially, you're getting broker by the day if you don't increase in value yourself, because the money that you have in real life is slowly but surely becoming less and less valuable because they keep printing it out. And that's how we get inflation. So let's use an example. Let's say, for instance, you're able to save $10,000. Congrats. That is a amazing feat because a lot of people have not saved $10,000. So congrats to you for doing that, right? But if you put that $10,000 in the bank, it'll earn about $60 on average after 1 year. But here's the tricky part, right? Because inflation is a thing, when life gets more expensive year after year and it's at 3%, while you saved that 10K, in 1 year you earn $60, but in that same 1 year, the price of everything has gone up 3%. So let's just say life got $300 more expensive at the same time as you saved that 10K. That's about a $240 loss in buying power, right? Because let's do the math. Because the interest rate that they give you for saving 10K is only $60, without you deploying that 10K into some kind of investment vehicle, you've essentially lost $240 because the lifestyle of everything has gotten $300 more expensive. See what I'm saying? So that's why even keeping money in the bank, just saving it, doesn't really help you, right? So you have to ask yourself, a bank is safe for who, right? But let's dive a little deeper. Let me be clear. None of this is illegal. None of this is things that are, so to speak, hidden. However, it's stuff that they don't teach us, so it may as well be hidden, right? Many of us don't know this. Many of us have never heard of fractional reserve banking. Like they don't teach that in class. Sometimes they teach it in economics class, but we don't always have economics class. And this is why I'm here, to make sure you guys understand this and that you become financially literate, right? So I want you to know that banks are illegal. fees are legal, and the low interest rate that they're able to pay you for your savings, it's also legal. However, it is a way that they are able to take advantage of you, right? Because I'll tell you this as well. Your money is protected up to $250,000 by the FDIC. So anything above that is not even protected. So if you were to get scammed, that's money that they legally don't actually have to give you back, right? Which is why a lot of that money, anything past $250,000, you should be investing. It should be in assets, right? So here's the thing. Although the way the system functions isn't legal, what is although the way the system functions is legal, us not knowing how the system functions is the problem, right? So that's where we have to have education, because the system assumes you won't read, it assumes you won't question things, it assumes you won't compare savings rates, and it honestly assumes that you won't watch videos like this one. I'm just being honest, right? And when you don't question the system, here's the thing, you become a victim, which is why I created the Break the Matrix series. It's so that we can start thinking outside the box and start understanding that a lot of these systems weren't built for us to win. They were built for us to be taken advantage of. However, here's how you flip the game in your favor. Here's how you stop letting banks play you. You use banks. Number one, you use banks for a safety net. So when you get direct deposits, you ensure that all your bills are automatic. You pay them automatically, right? And you also want to put your savings rate on automatic. You want to make that an automatic thing too. And you want to save at least 15% of your income or your take home pay. And you want to save that up until you have 6 to 12 months worth of monthly expenses. And the only way you're going to know how much your monthly expenses are is if you sit down and do a budget. So you know how much is coming in and how much is going out. All right. So once you do that, you get that number on how much you spend a month, times it by 6, times it by 12. Those are your emergency numbers. That way, when life happens, because life will happen, you're able to at least tread water for 6 to 12 months instead of drowning financially as soon as things get terrible. Right? Let's continue. Here's what else you need to do. You have to stop accepting trash interest rates. There are things called high yield savings accounts. They do exist. And you don't owe any loyalty to a traditional brick and mortar bank. You can use an online bank because they typically have better interest rates to pay you because they have lower overhead than traditional banks, which essentially means that because they don't have a physical location, they're able to increase the amount that they pay you when you do save money with them, right? Or here's a strategy that I've used myself. You can put your money in a money market account because these tend to have solid interest rates for your savings as well. All right. Number 3, it's very important. I want to make this very clear. Don't be a fee customer. Turn on alerts that let you know when your account is getting low and keep that buffer. A starter amount is $200. Never allow your account to go below $200. But that's just a starter amount. If you're actually able to save 10K, your buffer amount should be more like 1,000, because that's going to keep you from ever overdrafting, which is very important because you don't want to throw away money and with paying the bank fees. You always have to think to yourself, what could that $35 have went to? I mean, for some of you, that's like half a tank of gas. So you got to be mindful of that, right? And here's another thing. If you do get fees, a lot of times banks will allow you to waive a fee. Can't be something that you abuse, but if you do it like once or twice a year and you just call them, a lot of times the bank will allow you to waive the fee. I've done it. I've done it before. So It couldn't hurt to ask. Sometimes they do actually reverse those fees, and that's money back in your pocket. Just make sure if you do that, you don't abuse it. It has to be like a one-time thing because you want to establish the habit of always having money in your bank account. So you don't have to worry about that, right? Then number 4, you want to start learning how to build your asset portfolio. You want to have businesses, you want to have real estate, you want to have stocks, you want to have bonds. You want to create multiple sources of income. So that way you're not always dependent on your job, and you also have a diversified portfolio of different assets that no matter what's going on in the world, no matter how the market changes, no matter how the economy changes, you set yourself up to be okay, right? My goal is to teach you all how to be okay. So at some point, I'll be doing videos that covers these different asset classes. But for now, just understand that when you save up to 12 months of expenses, you should no longer be putting your money in savings. Now it's time for you to put your money in different asset classes because that's actually how you build wealth, right? Think of it this way. Cash protects you, assets elevate you, and once you know that, you are armed with information that will allow you to stop getting scammed by banks, right? So why all this information matters, right? If you're watching this right now, it's because you were probably taught just save money and you'll be okay. But it's not sound advice, just being honest. You don't break the matrix by avoiding banks. However, you do break the matrix by understanding them. Saving is not how you win. Saving is just a starting point. You want to save money, but you want to get to the point where you're investing money, right? Because once you become an investor, then you're able to use the banks as leverage to buy more assets. See, that's another part of the game that they don't really teach us. They want to keep us on the basic level where we're saving money, and the bank's giving us low interest on the money that we're saving and putting in there, and they're profiting off of all our money. You want to get to the point where you save enough to where you're safe in case of emergencies, but then any income over that, any surplus over that, you're investing it, right? Because I want you to understand this. Banks aren't your enemy, but they're also not your friend. They are a business, so you must treat them as such. Use the bank as a tool, right? Your job is to learn the rules so you don't become easy profit for the banks. And you start building buying power, which will allow you to purchase assets. And assets are how will become wealthy. All right. So, in conclusion, listen, kings, listen, queens. Don't be a pawn in the system. Be a player until you own the board, right? That's a chess metaphor for y'all. I love chess. But essentially, what I'm saying is at some point, you're able to use the bank as a tool and then become your own bank, right? If you use banks wisely, you'll then be able to purchase assets aggressively. And the knowledge that I'm equipping you with then becomes leverage. And when you have knowledge, you have power. And it's the one thing that once you acquire it, they can't ever take from you. So this is how we break the matrix. We learn, we get educated, and then we execute. Because once you see how the game is played, you can never unsee it. If this video helped you, please like it, comment, subscribe, and please share it. Share it with someone who still thinks that banks are safe. Let them know that banks are tools that we should be utilizing to build our wealth. Please share this video because, as I always say, we are changing the world one person at a time. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Amen.